And one time I was by going to be a recruiter. I was getting out of the Army, and I was thinking, man, I'm finna go home. I'm good to go. And instead of stop loss, what they used to do, they didn't have stop loss. If you ever seen the movie Stop Loss, that movie's trash. I'm gonna talk about that movie too. But that movie was trash. But stop loss, they didn't have that. What they had was either you can do what we say, or you can just go home, and that's what it was. So at that time, I was an E5, which is a sergeant, regular sergeant, buck sergeant, as you call it sometimes. And they were like, "Hey, sergeant, you can go." They didn't say this, but this is paraphrasing. You can go home, or you can be a recruiter. Which one you want to do? And when everybody knows, when you re-enlist, that's your most bargaining time to get stuff. You can get bonuses, different church stations. You can get a lot of stuff. So if you want to stay in, that's your time to bargain. But at that time, they was like, "Nah, son, nah, you gonna do what we tell you to do, or you gonna go the fuck home." And I was like, I wish I went the fuck home. Oh man, recruiting was a nightmare, especially under. I don't want to go into it, but the current president at that time, the sitting president at the time, not current, but the sitting president at that time, it was not too. Oh man, I could tell you story after story. Maybe I should just start a story session on YouTube and let that go. But I could tell you story after story about just recruiting itself. You got a lot of experience. I do. Oh man, you just, whoo! I got too much experience, perhaps some would say. That's the crazy part about it. Oh, let me see. Did I get my stage is going dark here on me. This is called the TOC. Matter of fact, as I refer to this where we're at, where you see on screen right now. This is the TOC, Tactical Operations Center. That's what we used to call where we did all our plans. Okay. They say America is a great place to live. I don't want to debate that today, but I like America. I often say this to people: if you have a problem with America, it would be no different than your family. If you got a family and you have problems at home, you don't broadcast your problems out in the street, do you? You handle them. But you also become a part of the solution. You don't sit and complain. You become a part of the solution. But if you're just complaining, then you're no better than the country you're complaining about, really, right? You take up arms. You can go protest. You can do whatever you want to do. But as long as you do something nonviolent to represent yourself in this country, you make this country. Understand that. You make this country. The country doesn't make you. My unit had to go, was getting ready to roll out of Afghanistan in 2014. I would rather take both of my deployments than do NTC. Afghanistan, from what I understand, was a way different beast than Iraq. I have never been to Afghanistan, although I wanted to go there because to say, hey, I've been to one of each. Because since we were fighting a dual war at the time, I wanted to experience both. But from what I've heard about Afghanistan, there's no punk, especially the terrain. You just can't jump in a vehicle and go anywhere in Afghanistan, from what I hear. I mean, certain parts of Afghanistan, you either have to take a horse or foot or something like that. That's why they sent the infantry mostly. Well, they just sent infantry everywhere, but especially the light infantry to that area to handle that. I would like if you get your own military car and gun so you drive around and... You know, it's funny. I'm going to say this to you, SJ Raging. Also, when I was a recruiter, what you just said was some variation of that was what most young boys said to me. They wanted a car or some type of vehicle, not exactly what you said, but they wanted a car, some type of vehicle they could drive around and cause havoc in. One kid in JRTC told me he wanted something like a Batmobile with machine guns attached to the front. I want to post my my motorcycle on Instagram again. It's on my Instagram. If you go to my SFC page, Raging, I got a motorcycle. You got to scroll down quite a bit. But I want to do it. I'm gonna put another picture up on my gaming one. But I bring that up because also people, the way my motorcycle looks, they say, are those missile launchers or subwoofers on the front? You have to see the bike. So. But that reminds me of this because kids always ask me that. They're like, but you don't just gonna get issued anything in the Army. Trust me, that cool stuff you see or whatever you think it may be, there's a process and nobody really wants it. Real talk, nobody really wants that stuff because it costs money. You got to keep up with it. It's a pain. It's a whole thing to it. So I dare say this: being in the Army is like having a 9-to-5 job that a lot of people hate. So if you got a desk job, you watch this now and you watch it later. You got a desk job or something like that and you hate it. Hey, the Army ain't no different, man. You know, I would hate the first sergeant. He getting on my nerves. It is. I would take Iraq and Kuwait over Afghan land any day. I would say I learned the most about the Middle Eastern culture. And yeah. At the time, it was my job to lead soldiers, so I couldn't really give my opinion. But thank you for joining the stream. If you're joining it now or you're joining it later, I appreciate anybody that comes by and stop by. I'm sorry I didn't get to get to everybody who's coming in. But I got sidetracked with this topic, so I'm going to run with it. I did a lot of everything in the United States Army. I didn't achieve two things that I wanted to do, and it kind of pains me to go over them, but you got to be honest with yourself sometimes. I think that's the best way to get in life. Don't try to hide from the truth. I didn't make the rank of E8, which is Master Sergeant or First Sergeant officially, and I didn't become a drill sergeant, even though I applied 2 different times. But everything else in between, man, I've done it. I probably done it. If you name it, I probably done it. If it's nothing to do with special forces, I probably done it. Do you use an RPG launcher in Iraq? I didn't, because that wasn't my job. I didn't. So no, I didn't. But I've used them enough that it don't really. There's no big deal to me. They use them on us all the time, though. What you would call an RPG rocket launcher. Maybe I should post that video of my tanker blowing up so everybody knows it's not all glamorous and war stories. But I've been going back and forth on posting that video on YouTube. I really have. I don't, on the surface level, I don't think war is to be glorified. But as a soldier, if there's another good movie in kind of, that has a moral tone, but the uniforms and everything else was shitty, The Hurt Locker. A lot of people praise that film, but from when I've seen of that film, it is kind of, you do be kind of, I want to say addicted to war. But anything that's got to be associated with going there and doing it, it puts you in a certain trance or state, in a certain state of mind. You become conditioned to live in a certain way, in a manner, and to perform a certain way, in a manner that it becomes more comfortable than it would be to come back here and deal with the everyday mundane bull job that you would have to deal. Correct me if I'm wrong, Raging. It becomes, when you're deployed, you wake up at a certain time, you do a certain thing. You don't always do the certain thing every day, and I can't just talk about everything over there. But you do certain things, and you just get conditioned to doing it. Like one thing I can't talk about is you would have to spot for bombs on the side of the road as you're driving. And when you get back to America, you keep doing that. Some people go back over there because they say the food is good, which it is. Some people go back over there because the pay is good. Some people go back over there because they're addicted to the action. But whatever the reason is, a lot of people lived and died in Iraq or Afghanistan for whatever reason somebody sent them there. But they just couldn't bring themselves to come back here and face whatever it was they was running from. And I saw it as a recruiter too. A lot of people would be running from something. That's why they joined the United States Army. And trust me, but if you're running from it, you'll never get away from it, man. You'll never get away from it. So don't run from it. If you can get some help, do what you gotta do. I've been out for about 5 years now. I'm glad that I served proudly, but the Army had some of the best moments in my life. What if you start beating your teammate? Do you get in the cell? I think I will say this, and I see the question that you guys are asking, but I'm gonna have to deviate from a path here and say this to you. I see now that I really have to do that video, and maybe it needs to be deeper than what it is, because it's you can't commercialize or trivialize a soldier's life. Marine, sailor, airman, don't. And I understand the question you asked. There's no disrespect I'm feeling here, not at all. I understand it's just inquisitive questions, especially since I was a recruiter. But don't trivialize a soldier's life to something as simple as, do you kill people? Do you do this? Do you get that? A soldier is more than a pawn of war. When you are on the battlefield, there are some choices that you have to make. But yeah. Excuse me for a second. It was a lot different as a recruiter than it was as a soldier, and just being on the field. So I see the question you ask, and sometimes I say, that's cool. But to see give me a second. This is why I really need to do that video, or somebody needs to do it. Somebody better than me, or it needs to be done, because I see the questions and the things that people say, and there are still soldiers to this day that suffer from that war or those wars. And it was a news clipping then. Like, I remember at one point there was nonstop coverage of the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War. You couldn't stop hearing about it. And then one day, it stopped. And just like when it stopped, that's when America stopped caring about those soldiers. It was fashionable to say, hello, how you doing? I appreciate your service. But the soldiers that really still suffer from that war most of them are still here. They'll be here for quite a long time. When I joined the United States Army, there were soldiers from the Gulf War that were still in. It's crazy. But I understand your questions, guys. You only know what the movies or what television show you. So that's why I felt like I had to do that video. Soldiers get paid. Soldiers play video games. Matter of fact, I watch a guy. There's a guy called Flanker Flea, and he is in Alaska. That was my first duty station in the Army. He was in Alaska. He's in Alaska right now, and he's a streamer. You can look him right now. Go to search bar. You can leave this chat room. Flanker Flea. He is in the United States Army right now. So if you want to go ask somebody some questions, I appreciate all the questions. He is an active duty soldier, so he can tell you about being a soldier in one of the toughest places there is, Alaska. And I say that because that cold is bitter, bro. You know. Yeah, I do it all over again too. I would. It's like I say, it's something about it. I don't know. There's something about it that just, I don't know. It can't be talked about. It can't be bought. It can't be paid for. It is akin to what some urban or black people call street cred. When you are a soldier and you go to war, that is like the highest you have done. It's like a doctor performing surgery. Or you're a doctor 24/7. But at the moment you're performing an important surgery, there's no more better. How can I put it? That's you at your best, you know. So it was a lot. It was a lot of good. It was a lot of bad. But would I go back? Yeah, I would. Well, back then I would. Now I don't know so much, because for various reasons I won't go into. Have you been in Area 51? Area 51, to my knowledge, does not exist. So I can't tell you about it. So the answer to that question is no. If you get that, go back to your question I didn't answer before. If you shoot a teammate, expect to go to jail. Wow, it was that easy to be in the Army, so the other places think true is not because people died more in America than Iraq. I will say this to you, SJ. Think of soldiers like this. In your world, a soldier would be something like the janitor. And I'm not disrespecting janitors or soldiers. What I mean by that is, in your world, I know you're homeschooled, but kids your age, janitor. Because that guy does a job every day that nobody really notices and nobody else wants to do, but he does it, right? You don't know what the janitor does when he's in that closet. You don't know what the janitor does with the off time. You don't care. You just know that the janitor cleans the house, right? Or cleans the school or whatever. So in that liking, a lot of people don't know what soldiers do, and they don't care what soldiers do as long as they get the job done. It is only until a soldier comes home that he is berated, mocked, praised, whatever you want to show to those soldiers. It is only when they come home, if they come home, that they get to even experience that. And that's the crazy part about that. When you are in Iraq, it's crazy because you're totally disconnected from America. Deployed. All you have that crappy, I don't know what they call that TV. I forget what they call it. It wasn't even worth watching. But you are like severely behind the times. When I came back, there was 2 times I was out of touch. When I came back from the recruiting, I was out of touch with the Army. And when I came back from deployment, I was out of touch with America. Do they still do the WAP? Sergeant, what the hell are you talking about? Do they stanky leg? No, we don't stanky leg anymore, Sergeant. That was 2 years ago. Where you been? Oh, I was in Iraq. Sorry. Thank you. You're welcome. Have you been in? Oh, yeah, I already answered that one. We were supposed to be talking about EA and the loot boxes, but I'm glad you guys came by and asked these questions. I really haven't had to think about the Army in this capacity in like over 5 years, bro. Real talk. Like when I got out of the Army this time, when I retired, because like I said, I got out of the Army one time before. But when I got out of the Army this time, I retired. And you can see, if you want to go look I urge you, this is not a shameless promotion. Go to my YouTube video and you'll see some of the stuff I got on the wall in this office, and you'll see it. when I got out the second time, I was like, hey, I'm done. I'm good. I'm clear, man. I don't have to think about it. But the reality is there are still soldiers serving, so I always think about it. Let me see. What does U.S. store their nuclear weapons? I don't know that answer to that question right now. I truly honestly don't know where they store them. And the U.S. doesn't have nuclear weapons to my knowledge, seeing as my job. What I was told was we only practice for defense. Nice talk. Thank you for the hard work, soldier. Whatever, SJ. I mean, I don't know. I was thinking, do people think Superman? I don't know. I don't know. He was just doing what he was doing, so whatever. I know. That wasn't a stupid question, but I don't know. That's. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, so I don't know about nuclear weapons in America. That's what you. But the official record answer on record is we don't have any, and we only use them for defensive purposes. How old are you? 121, if you don't mind me asking. Oh, I forgot to tell you guys, I'm playing Crash Bandicoot today. How long have I been going? Oh man, I'm about to close this out in a few minutes. I got 6 more minutes to do this. Usually I cut it down to 30 minutes, but you guys got me going, and I appreciate it. Woo, y'all had me going, man. Y'all had me going. I never thought I'd have a show like this. So, this is wow. This is a show. I appreciate everybody that's coming by. I appreciate you, 121. I appreciate everybody. Raging Dragon, thank you so much for helping me out with this topic, because that was hard to make it through for at first. Boy, that was a tough one right there. Yeah, it is. If you watch, strange enough, if you watch Endgame and you watch Infinity War, basically all the Captain America movies, it kind of there are little glimpses of times where you see what it is to be kind of a soldier, and I don't mean the action stuff. When he's talking to Falcon about some things and the stuff they go through whenever they're at the group meetings, that is stuff that soldiers do right there, because they have to deal with the reality of what was a war. And I want to do another paper. Shoot, I don't have my thing open. All my ideas are on my computer, so I can't really pull it up. I have two computers. I have a Mac and a PC, so I can't really. And my Mac is shut down. I feel like opening it up. But I have another paper. There was a guy, I forget his name, but there's a disease, Zelfner or something like that. And they named it after him. I think something happened to him. Well, he went to Iraq. He volunteered. A quick story. He volunteered. He went to Iraq. He got shot like his third day there, something like that, right? I do plan on doing a video on this too. And I just found out about this like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And he was a big lobbyist against the war, and he thought that George Bush was doing it was lies. And he, long after the war was over, he was still suffering from that bullet wound to the point where the VA was mistreating him. He had a colostomy bag. And long story short, he decided to take his own life. Now, in seeing that story, and I researched, I wrote all that stuff down. I have it in my Mac, so I'm sorry I can't quote it to you right now. I said, you know what? That opened my eyes. I knew that soldiers were still suffering, but in that capacity, that there might be a soldier who is still right now suffering from a wound that he suffered, that he got in Iraq, is even to me is eye-opening, because this is the year 2019. That war started in 2001. Those wars started in 2001, and it is 18 years later, and there are still soldiers. Now think about that. If a guy went to 18 years old, he was 18 years old in 2002. That means he's somewhere in the age of 36, 35 right now? And to live that way as a 35-year-old man would be... Hey, Top Shelf. Hey, baby. How you doing? I need to get you a badge or something going on here, girl. Yeah, this has been a tough show for me. They've been grilling me, Top Shelf. I've been... Woo! Man, they almost had me shedding... I thought I had to activate my cheer button for a second, boy. I was... Y'all had me going through it for a second, bro. Man, it's good to see so many people in here. I usually don't talk about being a veteran because I don't... Like, if you ever go to my Facebook page, you'll rarely see pictures of me in uniform or anything like that, because it's not something to be bragged about. Like, you don't see a real warrior walking around. I was a warrior. To me, that's not the thing to do. So when I hung my uniform up, that was it for me. Like I said, I didn't have to really think about that. I didn't really want to dwell on it because of all the stuff that it represented. So, but it was an experience. That's the best way to put it. It was some good times. It was some bad times. If you are 17, 121, I would say this to you. I urge you, if you're really interested in the Army, if you're cynical, if you love it, whatever it is that you feel about the military, find a base. Wherever you live, I don't know where you live, where you're from, but find a base and go check it out for yourself. If you don't trust recruiters, talk to somebody retired. Talk to somebody freshly retired, maybe 2-3 years. Don't talk to somebody that retired in 1980. They won't have any relevant information from you. I don't know if they'll see it that way, but they won't. But I would say I'm gonna move on to Crash Bandicoot. I know we had a lot of people who are coming here. If you like what you see here, if you enjoy your time here, I urge you to follow. I'm here on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6. Excuse me. Yeah, got me back in the military Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. And the good thing about me, as somebody asked me in another chat room, is my handle is always the same. It's SFC Spectacular. If you can find SFC Spectacular, you can find everything else about me from there. All right, you can find everything else. So I urge you to go see that stuff. I have that. I'll try to have that movie up by Friday. How Hollywood does the military wrong. I don't know now if I have it up because you guys kind of opened my eyes on some stuff. It's just I don't know, man. Wow, I haven't been asked questions like that since the year 2005, bro. Wow, that's crazy, man. I don't know. I remember telling the kid that you don't you can play video games in the Army, and that was back then. And he damn near shit his pants. He was like, "Yeah, for real? You're just lying. You're trying to get me to join." Nah, bro. But the point is that people think soldiers are robots. They have no feelings. They do whatever somebody tells them to do. They do it willingly without command. Nah, that's not the truth, man. A lot of soldiers got feelings, got their own brains. A lot of soldiers don't like to do the things that they're sent to be do in the first place, but they do it anyway. So, when you thank a soldier, you really have no idea, I don't think, to the fullest of what you're thanking them for. Batman didn't actually be Batman, but he got to do that shit. That's how he feels, right? I think that's how he feels. But he feels, hey, I got to do it, man. Hold on, turn on my extra lights. I'm going to lose some light here. Developed by vicarious vision. All right, let me cut my music down here, y'all. We got out of that part of the show. But I appreciate anybody who joined me.